On today's video, top 10 hand tools you should have in your toolbox.
This is the Old Guy Network.
Yep. Hey, welcome back to the Old Guy Network. I'm the Old Guy, the OGJ, and it's good to have you in the trailer hood, especially on a beautiful sunny day like today. It's absolutely gorgeous out. It's cold, but at least the sun's shining, and that's pretty good. Man, this beard's getting unruly. Usually, for the past 30 years, I've looked like this, and sometime back in September, I guess I decided not to shave anymore, and wow, I got to do something about that. Of course, a friend of mine said that if I shaved this all off, I'd look about 10 years younger. This is the Old Guy Network, so I don't know if I should do that. Of course, I look 80 now, so if I shave this off, I'll only look 70, and I'm not even 60 yet, so I guess it'll all work out. Who knows? Today, as you saw from the title, the top 10 tools that you should have in your toolbox. These are hand tools. Now, I did a video a long time ago, months and months ago, the top 5 tools that you should own, but this is specifically hand tools. If you're just getting started, or if you just like to fix stuff around the house, I don't care who you are, you need to have some hand tools. Put them in a little toolbox. And speaking of toolboxes, if you missed the last video, this is the little toolbox that I made, and look at that, it came out really, really nice. So if you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But the top 10 tools that you should have in your toolbox at all times. And let's not waste any time. Let's go right to it. In this video, I'm not including WD-40 or duct tape. Now, this is in no particular order. That's important to know. And I'm not promoting any brands. I'm not going to show every brand of every tool on here. So this one happens to be a Stanley, but this is a multi-bit screwdriver, and you can get not just those 2 bits. I mean, they have screwdrivers out there that will have 30 or 40 different types of bits on it. Torx bits, Phillips head, flat head, whatever you need. Should have one of these. I mean, it saves a lot of room in your toolbox. I'd rather have one of these than 15 different screwdrivers in there. So you should have this in your toolbox at all times. Now, this is also a handy little gadget. This is a folding hex key set, and if you are working on, it doesn't have a lot to do with woodworking, but if you're working on the tools or you're changing blades, some of them have hex bits. You want to have this in your pocket, and have it in your toolbox, and if you're working on a car or working on something specific, stick it in your pocket, because it's a lot better than carrying around a bunch of hex keys. And these are invaluable. They are. You gotta have them. And you've gotta know what this is, right? It's a claw hammer. You never know when you have to beat something into submission or pull out an old nail. You gotta throw one of these into your toolbox. You should have one of these with you wherever you go. You might need a hammer, right?
Hammer time!
This is known as a speed square, and this has become just the most valuable tool I have in my whole damn shop. And I got to admit, I only found out about these a few years ago, and I'm lost without this. There's so many things you can do with a speed square, and you should just have one rattling around in your toolbox. You can get different sizes. You get small ones, large ones, and I suggest you have a couple of these. But for your toolbox, just get one of the small ones, and it will help you out immensely. If you want to make something straight, you want to make sure that you've got a good 45-degree angle. You want to cut 40 degrees, 30 degrees. You can do it with this speed square. How are you going to measure something if you don't have a tape measure? And there's a lot of different ones out there. And I'm not talking about brands. I'm talking about lengths. I've got a 100-footer around here somewhere, and I barely ever use it. I mean, unless you're doing landscaping or I don't know what you, but I think I've used it like 3 times. Normally, I have either a 25 or a 16-foot tape measure in my toolbox at all times. I just broke mine. I had to order another one. And there's another tool, another tape measure that you should have, And that's this little thing right here. This was actually my dad's. After he passed away, I was bequeathed this. He carried this around with him all the time. It was in his pocket. This is a 3-foot tape measure. Now, you never know when you're going to have to measure something, right? And if you have one of these, it'll do up to 3 feet. And as my dad used to say, having a 3-foot tape measure in your pocket's like having a yardstick in your pants.
Yep.
It's not necessary, but it is something nice to have just in case you need it, right? So, yeah, tape measure. You got to have a tape measure. Now, moving along, this is a little tiny flashlight. You have to have illumination, and put a flashlight in your toolbox, a couple of them I recommend. A small one is fine. One of the headlamps that you can get, they strap onto your forehead and give you hands-free movement, and they are really, really handy to have. So you need to put that, you need to have that in your toolbox. Pliers. Do I really need to say this? I mean, out of all the hand tools that you're going to use pliers a lot. You're going to use them in your shop when you're working on, when you're working on woodworking projects, when you're working on tools, when you're working around the house, you've got something that's come loose, you got to have some pliers. And this, of course, a friend of mine just sent me this just a few minutes ago, and I just had to add it because I think it's kind of funny. I now have a reason to have 2 table saws, one in my shop and one in my kitchen, because you never know when you have to cut some French bread and you want that just perfect, right? All right, all seriousness aside, this is a must-have for woodworkers, mechanics, general handymen. If you're going to do anything, you got to have a socket set. Now, you can get a small 3/8 inch socket set, you can get a 1/2 inch, whatever you need, 3/4 inch, but have a small socket set in your toolbox at all times. But really try to keep all the sockets together, and don't open this thing up upside down, because it'll ruin your whole day. And again, this is a DeWalt knife. I'm not suggesting you run right out and buy a DeWalt knife, but a utility knife. Everybody needs a utility knife, and you can buy them anywhere from, I've seen them for like $6 up to $20 for really nice ones. A utility knife uses the standard double utility blade, and single side utility blade, and they are just invaluable. You should have one. And this is sometimes referred to as a crescent wrench, but Crescent is actually a manufacturer. But it's an adjustable wrench. And you should have some separate wrenches anyway. But when you're in a pinch, or if you're working on something and you have multiple tools, just having an adjustable in your toolbox is, that's nice. It's better than having 40 different wrenches, right? So include an adjustable wrench in there when you can. And that brings us to the level. Everything's going to be on the level, right? And you can get different size of these levels. I actually mentioned this in one of my other videos. You can get the little torpedo levels. They're about 8 inches. You can get a 2-foot. You can get a 4-foot. You can get an 8-foot. Whatever your projects are. I mean, if you're just making small things like the little tables that I make, the little squirrel tables, things like that, you don't need to have a big 8-foot level or a 4-foot level. But if you're working around the house and you're leveling up stuff, get the appropriate size one. That's all you really need to know. And that's it. That's actually 12 if you count the count the table saw in the kitchen. I can't really count. I never learned to count very well, so that's actually 11 if I counted that right. But those are the tools that you really, really should have in your toolbox. Now, obviously, it's not going to fit in this little thing, but get yourself a nice standard size toolbox, and you can buy toolboxes cheap now. I mean, if you get the plastic ones, and they're fairly rugged, or you get a nice metal one, you can spend anywhere from $10-15 to $2,000 for a big roll around with multi-drawers and all that. So no need to go out and spend a whole bunch of money if you're just going to have a small toolbox that you can carry around with you. And That's what everybody needs. I mean, even if you don't think you need it, you need it. How many times have you walked into a room and you say, hey, this door doesn't open right. Hey, the hinges are coming off. Grab your toolbox. And if you have these tools that I just mentioned, you'll be able to fix that and fix a whole lot of other things. That's going to do it for this quick video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was helpful. If it was, please hit that like button, hit that share button. Just subscribe to the channel, and life will be good in the trailer hood. So thanks for stopping by, and until the next time, you know me, I'm the OG, and I'm out.